very well to us, and also the strategies of overcoming these stereotypes. I liked that you did it even practically. You mentioned that you already are going to follow up Professor Elizabeth Njenga, your namesake, and have her mentor you. And I think that is very important even for those of us here on this platform. This platform not only is here to to present speakers as it were to us, but would want to be able to have that follow-up. So pick one of the strategies that she mentioned on overcoming these stereotypes, and yes, engage one of us, get a mentor. A mentor does not have to look out for you. The key parting shot was that I picked from her presentation towards the end is that we need to have courage and determination. So have the courage to approach one of us here and say, I'd like you to walk with me this journey. And in that way, dear participants, I know we'll be able to overcome the challenges or the stereotypes that were presented to us. Thank you. We'll pick 2 questions. And even as I go through the chat, Elizabeth, there were many of us. I may just mention a few of them. And I know this speaks for all the participants, but the comments that were put on the chat, just appreciating you for your presentation. I acknowledge Gloria, Zipporah, Ondieki, and sorry if I'm not able to mention all of you, but I'm sure they are representing the bigger forum. Elizabeth, for your very engaging presentation and very explicit presentation, like I said earlier. So please receive our appreciation. Thank you for making time, and thank you for that enlightenment. So do we have a question or 2 questions? We could put 2 questions. If there's any hand that is up, I'm trying to go through my screen and see if there's any hand that is up. No, I've scrolled through all the screens and going through my chat. Okay, so now I think in the interest of time, I will give back this session to Dr. Kiambati. I think we could try and redeem time, and maybe questions will still come up at the Q&A session. So Dr. Kiambati, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my colleague, Ms. Lydia Asiko. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your very, very comprehensive and interactive, interesting presentation. We so deeply appreciate that presentation and also appreciate you for your time. Thank you, Lydia, for your effective moderation of the session. We also appreciate you. In the interest of time, I now would like to invite Professor Juliet Macharia to invite our next speaker and take us through the next session. Professor Juliet Macharia, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kiambati. Thank you, everyone. My work is to introduce our next speaker. My training says that when I'm speaking, you see me. So I think I will introduce the speaker. That is Dr. Hilda Nabiswa. Let me get her profile. Yeah. I am happy today to introduce to you Dr. Hilda Nabiswa, a doctor, a scientist, and a person who prepared for a long time to be a doctor. I'll tell you that one at the end. What we can say today, we have a person who is doing very well. She is a physician, diabetologist based at AAR Hospital on Kiabu Road. Her interest is the management of non-communicable diseases, especially cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. She currently runs a diabetics clinic at the hospital. and she's a member of National Technical Working Group of Diabetes. Then she is also an advocate. She's a member of an advocacy committee of the Kenya Diabetes Studies Group, which she is participating and doing very well. Most importantly, she is a health educator, and she's using the channels that other people are not using to educate Kenyans, all of them. She runs a social media platform known as Diabetes Doctor, which is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and all that. She engages the viewers and educates them on pertinent issues regarding diabetes. This has made her realize what a huge knowledge gap has been in the public regarding the diseases. So for me today, I'm privileged to meet Dr. Hilda Nabiswa after a long time. And I'm privileged again to sit here and listen to her experiences as a doctor. Welcome, Dr. Nabiswa.
Thank you so much, Prof. What Prof hasn't told you is that she also was my pseudo mother when I was like 3 years old. I'm sure she's going to talk more about that, but she's actually someone who I have known for quite some time, and I really look up to her as well. So Prof, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be part of your day-to-day. I've heard from many eminent speakers, Dr. Njenga, Dr. Elizabeth, and your stories are all so illuminating. Thank you so much for inviting me today. And I will go through the presentation, then thereafter we can talk more and you will get to learn more about me along the way. Thank you so much. So my topic today is Woman, Know Thyself. And the reason why I did this is because I realized that many women, yes, we have our careers, we have our career paths, but there are many things we still do not know about ourselves in an intimate manner when it comes to the workplace and when it comes to knowing the kind of person we are at the workplace and how to interact with other people at the workplace. And the other thing is also knowing whether we are actually maximizing our potential or not, and knowing why we are not maximizing on our potential. So I will start by saying, why is it important to know yourself? Because there are people out there who want and deserve to benefit from your knowledge. They want to benefit from your abilities and your skills. And you owe it to yourself and to all of us to start acting as bright, capable, and powerful as you really are. And the person who gave us this quote is Valerie Young. She's an enthusiast she speaks a lot about the Imposter Syndrome. And she's one of the worldwide known women who actually say the issues that are facing women at the workplace, and especially Imposter Syndrome. So let's just start by talking about women in STEM. Half of Africa's population is female, but despite this, only 18 to 31% of science researchers are female. And only 7% of girls enroll in engineering and construction courses. Why? Because of gender stereotypes. And I am so happy that Elizabeth has already gone through this so well, that there are some things that we are just told we cannot do just because you're a woman, you know, because it will make you look bossy or bitchy or, you know, or weak. All those things that we are talking about is because people have already put it in their brains what they think a woman should be like, or what they think the type of job a woman should look like. So the stereotypes are really making us lose out on a lot of girls who would have otherwise been very smart engineers and construction workers and God knows all the other STEM courses that are there. Then there's also lack of policies and tools that boost involvement of girl child in STEM from an early age. So we have a lot of you know, we generally, as we grow up, we are taught that girls are supposed to be the nurturers, and you know, it makes us feel that we are supposed to take the courses that are a bit, you know, less STEM, so to speak. People go to high school and in schools you hear girls talking about how they can't take physics because, you know, it's hard. So we need to have proper policies and structures in place that make girl child involved from an early age and make them realize that STEM is for anyone. Not just men, can be for anyone. But the other thing that I'm going to tackle more today is lack of self-awareness. I strongly believe that there are many of us out there who are still not aware of who they are, their strengths, their weaknesses, and where they fit in the market and how they can actually contribute in the STEM work frame. So we'll go through it in a short while. I just wanted to give us an overview of why I still think women are still grappling. When you look at an overview of what has been happening in the past couple of years, in the past 100 years, women have just won 19 out of more than 600 Nobel Prizes in STEM. Women in STEM grapple with lower salaries than men. White women are twice as likely to have a STEM career than women of color. So when you're a Black woman, you're even more disadvantaged. And then men are 7 times more likely to feature in STEM roles in TV and in film. And that again propagates the stereotypes that we're talking about. So part of the reason why we are having issues with STEM, women being in STEM, is because of all this. And these are all challenges that are currently being faced by women in STEM. And we'll just go through it. There are not so many. So we'll go through them shortly. So let's start with lack of work-home balance, which is the highest at almost 40%. So someone had already talked about this. And I remember one of the questions someone asked was, what happens to those who don't have supportive husbands at home when you're trying to pursue your career? All of that falls in work-home balance. You don't have enough time for your children in the evening, doing homework with them. There are a lot of sacrifices that women in STEM make, and therefore it makes them uncomfortable, or they see life quite challenging in that aspect. The other thing is discrimination and harassment. Already, Elizabeth has talked about how she was discriminated against when she was pregnant. And you see, that's a quarter of women face that. A fifth of women have a harsh work environment, which just doesn't benefit their growth. Then lack of professional resources. And in Kenya, things are improving, but we still have a long way to go when it comes to resources that help us guide, especially the girl child, on what to do, how to cope in STEM. And then childbirth and childcare responsibilities, lack of access to top positions. Many times they reach a certain level and ni kama umekwama, you can't go beyond a certain position. And then lack of recognition, acceptance, and respect. Many times that respect is given more towards the male scientists as opposed to the female scientists. Then lack of family support happens in a lot of families. Low pay and benefits, challenges with the career choice, time management, and lack of self-worth. Social, cultural, and traditional barrier was a bit on the lower side. I think one of the things that at least we can say has been improving over the past few years is that our culture is turning and coming to embrace the girl child in various fields. So definitely our culture is improving, but we still have a barrier. There are some people who still face that barrier. And lastly, health issues. So all those are things that have to be faced by women at some point when they're in the STEM careers. And then individually, now those are the things that hamper the growth of women in general. But individually, one of the biggest factors that hamper our growth in STEM is imposterism, where we doubt our current success and we also discount our past success and anticipate future failure. And this happens even with the highest achieving female scientists, where we achieve so much, but we reach a point where we start doubting ourselves, like, oh, did I, like, maybe I did this because you don't realize that it was just you who actually did it. Yeah, you start giving excuses and thinking maybe I did this because so-and-so helped me, or just doubting yourself, or you find yourself in a position where you have a very big job and you're wondering, wow, just me, like, how am I going to do this? I'm now the CEO of a company, I'm now the MD, I'm now running my own business. How am I going to do this? So many women feel like they are an imposter in their own job. The other thing is self-efficacy and a sense of belonging. So an individual's belief or confidence in their ability to successfully complete a task or be successful in a specific domain is what we call self-efficacy. And many times that individual's self-belief goes down, and that hampers our growth in STEM. And that's why it's important to know yourself and figure out what are these things that are making you have less confidence in yourself. The other thing is lack of self-awareness. So there are many people out there who are not really sure where they lie, who they are, why they are doing what they're doing. I know a number of doctors who were brilliant, and that's why they went into medicine. But now after medicine, they start thinking, okay, yes, I'm a doctor, but is this really what I want to do? Is this really what I was called to do? Later on is when they realized that they were actually really good at math. They could have done engineering, you know. So that lack of self-awareness, especially from an early age group where people decide for you what you need to do rather than yourself coming out and saying, you know, this is what I want to do for myself, also puts us in that kind of situation. So this is just a graph down there that looks at how we come to that level where we have less engagement. So it all starts with a reduction in your efficacy, your own efficacy thoughts, how you think you can actually finish a task, or how you think you can complete whatever you've been given, that job that you've been given. And it starts with having a sexist atmosphere. And then when you have the gender inequality or those gender biases that have been put in there, you start having an imposterism after that, because you feel like, okay, am I really where I'm supposed to be? And this is because of the environment around you. And then thereafter, you have domain-specific issues. Like, for example, you sit down and it can be either just an individual lack of self-awareness, like just not having enough knowledge of who you are in particular areas of your life, or having a lack of sense of belonging where you are. And later on, it leads to dropout. And so many people drop out of school or drop out of where they are working or where they are studying, especially in STEM courses, because of all this. It all leads up to that. And the things that we need to ask ourselves is, how do we deal with this imposter syndrome? How do we deal with this lack of self-awareness? So today I'll just give a small snippet of what to do as you get to know yourself. Is first of all, understand what imposter syndrome is and know how to deal with it. And the number one thing about imposter syndrome is that it's more common than we think. There are very many people who go through imposter syndrome. People who you know, you've worked hard to be where you are, but it reaches a point you start asking, wow, is it really me who did this? Like, wow, I mean, I've seen people do better than me when they're in this position. So you start feeling like you're an imposter. And it's important to accept that imposter feelings are normal. Actually, 70% of people at some point have some imposter feelings. So it's important to know that there's a difference between imposter syndrome and imposter feelings. Having the feelings is normal, and you can work your way through it. But having the syndrome means that you have actually reached a point where you do not feel that you are the right person for where you are. You don't feel that you are the right fit for your job or the right fit for the particular assignment you've been given. So one of the things is that you have to reframe your thoughts. If you want to go through this imposter syndrome, how to deal with it, you have to reframe your thoughts and start thinking positively about yourself. Positively think about how you ended up where you are right now, the journey that you took, and all those risks that you took, the steps that you took, which made you led you to where you are right now. And then be consciously aware of your imposter self-talk and change it. Every time you think of how you're an imposter, switch it up, change it. Every time, be very careful about what you tell yourself. So anytime you start thinking those thoughts that are a bit negative, or trying to say that, hey, you know, why are you here? Or, you know, all those things, try to change it immediately. Be very conscious about it. And then regardless of how you feel, keep going. It doesn't matter. Remember, many of us have gone through this. 70% of people have gone through this. So keep going, regardless of how you feel, keep going. And then explore the difference that you would make if fear was not a factor. So look back and see what it is that is keeping you down, what it is that is making you feel that you're a fraud, and start exploring that. Okay, what if I'm not a fraud? You know, like, what if I just decided that I'm going to take this head on and just move with it? What would happen? So look at what would be there if you literally unleashed yourself and decided to go head on and just decided to, let yourself go and do the things that you want to do to the maximum and to the full, and look at that difference that you would make. So if you're feeling stuck somewhere, if you're feeling that you have reached a point where you're no longer believing in yourself, just remember it is normal for some people to do that, but get out of that situation. Always keep on keeping on, regardless of how you feel. And questions to ask yourself when you're in this particular state is, what are your career goals? What are your strengths? What are your career values? What is your DISC style? And I'm going to look into DISC style just now. What are your coping mechanisms to stress and changes? And how do you adapt to new environments? And the importance of these questions is because they will make you understand who you are. We are all very different in how we think, and all of us have different career goals. I'll give you an example about myself. So my number one, what are my career goals? I discovered last year, end of last year, that I actually very passionate about healthcare advocacy. I'm very passionate about, especially in diabetes, getting to work with patients and healthcare providers and helping both of them understand diabetes so well so that we can improve how we treat diabetes in general. So now I'm an advocate for diabetes and an advocate for health, and I love it. And you see, before this, I thought that my career goal was just sitting in an office and sitting down and just writing prescriptions, seeing patients, writing prescriptions, seeing patients in the ward. That's what I thought that I was supposed to be. But later on, after going through career coaching, I realized my passions, I realized my career values, and thereafter I realized that my career goals were actually different from what I thought they were before. So it's never too late to learn new things about yourself, and you can actually set yourself on a new career path just by realizing what your career goals are. For some of us, it's education. Some of you here are fantastic professors. You teach, and all your students just remember how all the professors who are teaching them in school. For some of you here, it's actually something else. Some of you, your career goals are actually very different from what you are doing right now. So it's very important to align your career goals in order to avoid an imposter syndrome. Because if you're truly doing the thing that you are made out to do, then you will not feel like an imposter. You will actually realize that this is where my passion and my values and my strength align, and I'm going forth with it. So I encourage all of us to sit back and try and ask ourselves these questions, and thereafter see whether the direction you're taking is actually the right direction. And this will help you know yourself better, and so make the right decision at the right time. Now, I want to go further into the DISC style, because I think this is a very important thing I learned when I was doing my career coaching, and I believe everyone needs to know about this. So DISC just means dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. So I will just give you a brief that this is at the workplace, there are various characters that we are. So I remember Elizabeth had asked people to say what people have said about them in the past. Some said they were said to be bossy, some were weak, some were, there are many things people will say about you. Some were very lively, fun, energetic, and all this boils down to your DISC style. So D, if we start with D is dominance. These are the people who are very direct. In fact, they can actually even make you feel bad with their directness. They can tell you things as they are. Very results oriented, firm with their decisions, very strong-willed and forceful. They will go for what they want. Most of them are bosses and CEOs and whatever. So they are very results oriented and they do well in their fields. And then I is influence. Those are outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, high-spirited, lively personnel. We all have such people at our workplaces. And I want you to all see who you think you are and also comment on the section. See where you think you fall on this. You can also be a mixture of two. For example, I am a DI. I am dominant and influence at the same time. And that's why I decided to use my DISC style to improve my workplace. So I now aligned my career goals based on the kind of person I am. So influencers are people who are very fun to be with, and they are very outgoing. You you can't run an organization without either of all these people, but I's are very fun people to have. Then S is steadiness. These are people who are even-tempered, accommodating, patient, humble, tactful. These are people who will keep your organization going. And they are always in the background working. They're very accommodating. Those people who are naturals most likely fall there at S. Then there's C. Now, C are very analytical, reserved, very precise. You'll find most of them in a finance field. You'll find most of them doing accounting, or, they want things to run in a particular way, but they're usually reserved. They're not very outgoing. They're private and systematic. So all of us fall somewhere here. And I believe it's very important, even when we leave this place, as you try to know yourself more, go and just find out more about DISC style. Find out who you are here, because the thing is also, there's a lot of workplace clashes that occur because of this. There are people, especially Ds, who clash a lot with S's and I's because they want to force them into a certain box, and I's don't want to be forced into a box. They want to do their thing and, go out there, enjoy themselves, have a wonderful time, but D's are trying to box them in. And then C's, for example, don't like people in their space or in their corners. They're very reserved, and that's just how they are, and it's okay. But now I's will always try to be in their space, So you get a lot of workplace issues based on these personality styles. So it's important to learn who you are and then learn who you're working with, so that even at the workplace, you're able to differentiate and know how to deal with people around you, and just understand that we are all different, but as much as we are different, we work together well. So I don't know whether there's anyone who's been able to know who the kind of person they are, a D, I, S, or C. I would be looking forward to just hearing feedback from one or two people as to what you think you are on this group. Then, as you get to know yourself, it's very important to know that there's benefits in career coaching. So yes, I can see someone, Anna is saying she thinks she's an I. So yes, it's good. I mean, it's good to know who you are. Zipporah is an S. So remember, all of these support each other. You cannot have a workplace with fully Ds. They will clash because all of them are bossy, so to speak. So they will clash with each other. You can't have all S's because S's don't like leading. There has to be a leader. You can't have all I's because I's, as much as they have wonderful ideas, they are not very good at executing them. So that's where you need C's, because C's are very good at executing ideas. So I's will think about ideas and let it go, but a C will sit down, go through the whole process and decide, this is how it's going to work. This is how it's going to be from now on. Then a D will lead all of them, and an S will support all of them. So we are all helping each other. And you can be a mixture. You can be a CS, SC, IS, DC, all of that. But it's very rare for you to be a CI because they're the opposites of each other. You're either outgoing or you're reserved. You can't be both. Yeah. So I'm seeing, guys are knowing themselves. Emily is a dominant, Jane is an S, Emily is an I, Alice is a D. So it's good to know yourself. And it's important to go for career coaching. As you try to learn yourself, as you try to know more about yourself, you have to realize that sometimes you might need help. Like, for example, myself, it reached a point where I needed help because I'm one of those people who I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of ideas, and I'm a DI. So I do things, but sometimes I jump from things, from this to that. And it made me realize that I needed a coach who would come and just help solidify my thoughts. And after I went through career coaching, I had such a breakthrough, and I recognized my value as a professional, and I would encourage you to do the same. It also helps you to establish a career path and not just a job. And that's what I was saying, that yes, a job, like for me, my job is to sit and write prescriptions and, listen to patients' problems, diagnose them. But my career path is towards healthcare advocacy. I want to be the person in diabetes who's going to transform diabetes care in the country, especially in the rural areas. And now I am aligning the people I talk with, the people I work with, I align them so that I reach that particular goal in my career. And I I would advise all of us to have that kind of career path. Be more than just your job. There's much more you can do. Then build yourself in your career. Build yourself as well. Invest in yourself. Keep yourself accountable and motivated through career coaching. Then career coaching also helps you navigate through difficult career choices and decisions and environments. If you're having a clash with your boss, so one of the things is maybe you're having a clash with your boss because the boss is a D and you are an I and you are opposites. So it's important to understand who you are. You can navigate through those difficult issues. And even, for example, you deciding to leave job and start business. So all that is beneficial in career coaching. So it can really help you. So in conclusion, you need self-awareness in order to move to the next step in your career. And awareness is often described as the first step in the change process and the first step in self-management. Be self-aware. Let us all try as much as possible to be self-aware. Know who you are, how you interact with other people, how people view you. What are your career goals? What are your aspirations? Are you on the right path? Do you feel like an imposter? And what are you going to do about it? All those things. Be self-aware. And at the end of the day, once you're self-aware, you're at the first step in self-management and making sure that you're the best version of you in STEM that you can be. So at this point, I just invite any questions and answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hilda Nabiswa. I think we will allow like for one question or two brief ones. I can see people have been very busy interacting with her on the chat. Thank you for your presentation. And I said at the beginning that we are celebrating you. We are celebrating the scientists who are here. We are celebrating the engineers who are here. We are celebrating everyone. That is why we are learning, like those of us from different disciplines. We are happy to be here. So I think I will give time for two brief questions, which Dr. Nabiswa can answer. Then the other questions will come to Q&A, where we'll have time to talk about them, comment, and all that. Welcome to have questions.
So I can see, I don't know if I can go ahead and see, I can see Lydia has asked a question here about PMS. She is asking, imposter syndrome can result from PMS. From your medical background, what would you recommend for someone to manage this monthly struggle? And it's very true. PMS in itself causes a lot of hormonal imbalances. And these imbalances can, one, change how people perceive you, because that's where you hear that, we are going to PMS. Why? Because for some reason or other, maybe you've had an outburst or, something has happened in your interaction with other people during your PMS. And also, you can start feeling like you are less than other people. Like there are feelings of depression that can come in through PMS. So again, the first step is to be aware. Be self-aware that this is what you're going through during your PMS. And remember, there are some drugs that can be used to help PMS symptoms that you can actually ask for from your gynecologist to reduce the symptoms of PMS. It's very possible to get that. And also be self-aware so that anytime you start having those thoughts, you immediately start correcting them. You remember what we talked about in imposter syndrome. When you start having those symptoms, you immediately start being conscious about it and start changing what you're thinking about. Always reframe your thoughts. Remember, as much as PMS is there, you are still in charge of your body. It's not PMS in charge of your body. You still have the power in your brain to make changes and of how you think and what you do. So as long as you're self-aware, it really helps you to know how to interact with people, to reduce the kind of, PMS is premenstrual period. So it helps you to change how you're thinking by being consciously aware and deciding that I will not think this way. I will make sure that I think in a different way. Yeah. So be more self-aware, be able to make the change when you can, but there are drugs that you can take to reduce symptoms of PMS that can help you through that journey. Then I've seen another question. I think the last one is, where can one do career coaching? Career coaching is very important. I personally did one with a lady called Tabitha, who is based in the US, but there are a number of ladies who do career coaching. If you're on Facebook, there's a group called Africa's Leading Ladies. So Africa's Leading Ladies has a number of career coaches on it. So the one I can recommend is Tabitha. She did a fantastic job on me. But there are other career coaches available. If you go on Facebook to Africa's Leading Ladies, join in and you can find them there.
Thank you, Dr. Nabiswa.
Yeah.
We are
Thank
happy.
you.
I remember the heads of departments who are here. Somebody said that we are identifying mentors for our students. They are here, they are listening. So I think she has answered the 2 questions. I think those are enough for the interest of time. Thank you very much. Can we switch on our cameras so that we can clap for Dr. Hilda Nabiswa? Can we switch on your cameras? So thank you very much. We'll have you again. 2023, we'll have a whole day so that we can go around these things and feel happy. And thank you very much for coming. I'll return the program to Dr. Kiambati.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Juliet Macharia. Thank you, Dr. Nabiswa, for your presentation. Very articulate, very informative. At least I can see from the post that DISC was almost everyone's takeaway, and people are able to identify themselves and see how to navigate the space, the workplace spaces, effectively using that particular technique. Thank you so much. At this point in time, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Richard Kiai, to take us through the next session and invite our next speaker. Dr. Kiai, are you there? Dr. Kiai? Yes, I can see you unmuted. However, we can't hear you. Please increase your volume so that we can hear you. Dr. Kiai, are you able to hear us? Okay, I think we are having a challenge hearing Dr. Kiai. We'll ask Professor Juliet to introduce the next speaker as Dr. Kiai is sorting out the issue of his mic, and then I will call him as you do that so that I check what is happening. Please,
Professor, who is the next speaker?
1 minute.
It's engineer.
Okay.
Engineer Maureen.
Engineer Maureen Mwaneke is our next speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let me look for her profile. Give me a minute. I'm looking for her profile. I'll be with you. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at her profile. I'm looking at welcome, Engineer Maureen Mwaneke. I am presenting you to this group of scientists today. I will introduce you so that you can also talk to us. So today, I remember I mentioned when I did the introductory remarks that when you look at our speakers, we have them from different generations. The ones who are practicing now, the ones who have been there like Professor Elizabeth Jenga, Professor Lizzie Momburi, the ones in the middle career, and the ones who are doing very well, who have started, but within a short time, they're doing very well. So if I look at Engineer Maureen Mwaneke, she holds a degree in electrical and electrical engineering from the University of Nairobi. Her passion for engineering led her to one of the leading ICT companies globally, Huawei Technology, Kenya Company Limited, and has since gathered 9 years of experience from different roles in the industry. She started her role as a wireless engineer, and within the year has risen to become a vice director. Her focus as a vice director, programs management, organization, is to drive customer satisfaction, financial, resource, and quality management in all projects, including the digital transformation, through the use of enhanced digital tools, improve on the deliverables in all the delivery of service projects, and for further enhance our customer network coverage through projects we deliver. She is also the director for the Women in Technology Huawei initiative that empowers young girls to participate in STEM-related courses and introducing young engineers to relevant current digital skills. And at the same time, create training programs that support women-owned businesses to improve on the digital capabilities in the market. She through with the program, has partnered with several companies, similar companies. I'm looking at them. Yeah, sorry. Digital, and at the same time create that. So she, through with other digital programs, has partnered with other several companies with similar programs to reach out to young girls and women who are committed to being in STEM space. She is committed to improving the number of young engineers and leaders in the country through her mentorship and training programs. This earned her a place as one of the top 30 most influential women in technology in Kenya in 2020. I present Engineer Maureen Mwaneke to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Professor Juliet. And it's such a privilege to be here this afternoon. And so good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. I hope I'm audible enough. And it's amazing to see multiple people here, multiple ladies. You know, sometimes I remember when I was in the university and we'd be called for such sessions, and you know, you admire seeing other people who are ahead of you having been in this platform. So it's such an honor to also give back, have this opportunity to speak to young girls, also to speak to women and, you know, like-minded professors, doctors, engineers. You know, sometimes you can relate to the struggles that we have gone through, or sometimes even the younger generation can be able to understand and appreciate that there are people in front of them who are in this space. So just allow me to recognize, I know in absentia, there's Karatina University Management. We have directors, we have the deans, heads of department, university representatives, our neighboring countries, Nigeria, Australia, women scientists of Kenya and globally, partners represented here, lecturers and students, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. So for me, I am an engineer. My name is Maureen Mwaneke, as it was mentioned, Engineer Maureen Mwaneke, and I'm an engineer by profession. I graduated in 2012. It feels like it's quite a while, but I know sometimes when you mention it sounds as if it's just the other day. Sometimes it doesn't feel like just the other day, but I'm really happy. I'm really happy to be here. Just allow me to put up my slides. And even as I'm putting up my slides, today is one of those important days that has to be celebrated. Women and girls in science is something that has to be appreciated, has to be taken through. People have to understand that we must be appreciated because of, it's not by just sheer luck that we are here, but it is by the hard work that we have taken in, and even the people who are in front of us, the likes of Professor Wangari Maathai, the late, who was one of the first ladies to graduate, women to graduate in the space of biological science. So, and we have many others that you can call out in the midst who have been able to go forth and make that path and foundation for us to be very easy. So some of the things that we are going to focus on. Today, I'm going to really focus on my journey and also similar situations that other younger generation are facing currently. So today is main area is equality in science, navigating gender stereotypes in the 21st century. And I've seen what has been presented before. I mean, we have so many stereotypes that have been identified in this space. You know, we face a lot of challenges. We face a lot of uncertainties. We don't appreciate ourselves as women in the science space. We don't appreciate ourselves being called out in front of leaders and being said, this is so-and-so as Maureen, one engineer, Maureen Mwaneke coming forth in front of others. You know, we always tend to look around and ask ourselves, I mean, who is here called engineer so-and-so, you know, and people don't take it up, especially the men, they don't take it up positively when they see that there's someone amongst them in front of them who is leading them, especially in this kind of space. And that is why now we must be able to mention that we have to take up and lead by example and allow that path to be visible for the younger generation so that they don't have these struggles that have been faced. So my topic today is taking charge of your future in the STEM world. And you can see in my life, I'm a wife and I'm a mother of 2 boys. So that puts me as the only lady in my house, which is quite interesting because sometimes you find when we're having some discussions with my boys and they challenge and they start talking about science and, you know, why people need to be in this space and all that, you know, you find they are able to appreciate some of these opportunities that even their fellow counterparts, like who are girls, are able to be with them when they're even doing some of the building things like in the Young Engineers program. So it's important to empower the younger generation, not only the girls, but also the boys. And then, as it was mentioned, I'm also a director of Women in Technology. I'm also an engineer by profession, which you can be able to see. These are the things that we expose ourselves. Vice director for the project management organization, where we monitor and we try and digitize the spaces in this industry in Huawei technology. And also a STEM ambassador, where we try to teach both young boys and girls to try and develop their skills from when they're very young as 4 years. So in this space, I just like talking about details about what really happened and what I really went through while in the university and also in the space in the workplace scenario. So we keep talking about the experiences that we have. One of the key things, and I personally can mention, is that women don't tend to want to stay in this tech or in the science space. Why? Because they tend not to have people who can be able to hold them up. So what's happening is that we still have a very small percentage in that area that they're going through the university, studying engineering, studying sciences, all this, but they're struggling to even get people around them to support them. They're struggling to get mentors above them. They're struggling to get coaches around them. And so the percentage is still not as high as we want it to be. But right now, with the things that are happening, with the exposure, with the skills that are coming in, the training skills that have been presented by the people who have spoken in front of me, like Professor and Daktari, you know, you find and you see the actual scenarios that it is possible. We're getting there. We still need a bit of struggle, but we're getting there. But the surveys still don't show it. Our percentages at the top are still not where we want them to be. And so it is our responsibility to put that and bring it out there. So we need to have stronger percentages supporting where the women and girls are in science, and they stay within it. You know, Professor Elizabeth mentioned that it's not only about the recruitment, it has to be also retaining these resources in that space. So what were some of the experiences that I was able to see while going through the university, while being in the real world where we are being exposed? You know, the reality is that we still, as I mentioned earlier, we still have a very small fraction of women and girls believing in themselves in being this space. So you go into the university, you have multiple girls who say, I want to be engineers. Like right now, how many girls in primary or secondary, you ask them, what do you want to be? It's either pilot, it's either an engineer, it's either a scientist, it's either what. But at the end of the day, when they come into the real world, there's always that understanding that, no, these things are very hard. They're not for ladies. You can't. I remember when I was young and one of our neighbors had that I was studying engineering, and he came and said, okay, so come and change my bulb in my house. And you know, it's associated that it's only the very minor things that you should be able to do, or the really small things. You can't handle the big things like the big machinery. And to some extent, I think before now I got used to such stereotypes of how people assume who you are. You find that you get offended at first and you think, am I really meant to be in this space? But then you take it up, you own it. You know, sometimes you even find women in the board. You've been called as an engineer. And when you sit down, you find that being the only lady amongst multiple men and there's tea being served on the side, you're the one to quickly go and start serving people tea. I mean, you're all seated there in that table to understand that you're all corporate or you're all titled differently to bring different aspects on the table. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, but you must be able to take up and own whatever career that you've taken up, especially if you're in the science space. So we have to appreciate that. We have to develop those skills. We have to come out strongly and oppose the areas where you find these, I call it bullying of this kind of scenarios. So one of the main things is that we should not be selective in the areas we are being exposed to. Now, one of the things is that we have the younger generation who are coming into the science engineering space, is that you assume that once you complete the engineering or the science or technology space, you tend to find yourself that you're going to enter into this space and start earning like what? I think 500,000, all this, there's that mentality around that. It's possible, but when you end up being exposed into something and you're not really, you know, it didn't match up to what you wanted, you start finding people start losing interest. The younger generation start losing interest and patience of, you know, you're being told that one day you'll earn this amount, or, you know, so there's that point where people don't agree and they tend to drop out early. Why? Because you start finding that you don't want to appreciate the process as you move on. You don't want to start being exposed to the smaller things and then start growing into bigger things. It's the same thing as a pilot. The pilot won't be given the Boeing 777 to start flying it as soon as that time when they join from completing their certificates. They start all the way from starting with the small flights, coming all the way, building themselves all the way to the point where they've built the skill to be able to handle the big flights. So it's the same thing as also being in the science space. You have to be able to build yourself. And even as you go on, you have to keep putting yourself at bay with what is happening in the society. In the science space right now, there's so much that has changed. We're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about big data. So the science that we knew 5-10 years ago is not the science that we are talking about right now. Right now, people are developing things that are amazing. And so you have to jump onto that boat and keep on sailing. And then you have to look at the bigger picture rather than the small challenges that are surrounding you. You know, these are the things that you start saying, oh, I'm the only lady here. I'm the only woman seated with the board members, or I'm the only lady. So you start criticizing, self-critique your scenario, your space, and stop appreciating where you are and owning it up. Yeah. And then another thing I keep saying, grab those opportunities as you move on. Grab the opportunities. Like right now, I really appreciate one of my very good friends who's one of the CXO levels in a company called Stepwise. And she's been able to move into that space and bring out talent of disabled people in this society. So how can we be able to, us as scientists, come in and grab these opportunities by building opportunities for the disabled people? So you have to be able to think and look and appreciate that kind of level. You know, we have several people who are around us. You surround yourself and grab those opportunities that are in that space that you're in. Yeah. And then allow the supportive system around you to pull you up. I mean, for myself, I have to think of people who are going to surround me and keep me, challenge me all the time. Who are the people you surround yourself with? I mean, are you always on social media looking at the wrong things at the wrong time and not keeping up with what is happening? Use social media to your advantage. Use online platforms to your advantage. Try and get supportive systems from above, and rather than not only relying on only the peers that you have. And it is very okay to ask for help. You know, the problem that we have as ladies is that you always want to show that you're okay, everything is okay. Even when you're married, you have your problems, you want to show that everything is okay, but it is not okay. You need to be able to come out and say, I need help, I don't understand this space, please help me. You know, the lecturers are there, we have the head of departments. If you find you're not getting the necessary support from this person, be able to walk up to someone and say, you know, this is what I want. And another thing is, Google is there now. You can Google anything and everything. Sometimes even I Google my children's homework if I cannot keep up with what they're handling right now, you know. So it's just the reality of the world that you have to find ways in which you can be able to surround yourself, and also seek mentorship, because I like right now, I pick this as something that it's mentoring and giving back to the society. I mean, it's amazing how I come from Kirinyaga County, and having now a chance to speak to girls and women in Karatina University, you know, it makes me feel it's a privilege, yeah? So this is more like a mentorship program, and coming in and training more and more people. So in all that you do, how then do you still give back? So within the areas that I'm exposed to, like women in technology, Huawei, you are partnered with several people who can be able to help and see and empower areas of young girls and women and people who are around me to be able to bring them up. So things like leading by example. What exactly do I end up doing that will end up making me lead by example? We have, like now, again, we talk about mentioning that you have to be able to see who are the people that you're going to bring forth in front of you. Like now, when we talked about the late Professor Wangari Maathai, how many people have looked up to her and seen the path that she's taken, and now she's led by example? So many people are going through that. So you have to be able to lead by example. Surround yourself with women and leaders who can be able to build you up. Yeah. I mean, if I look at the people who I'm surrounded with, you know, I have to be able to challenge. They also challenge me. Like I have, as I mentioned, I have people within the CXO level. I have people who are heads of departments. I have people who are, you know, in different areas, who sit in the board, who also sit in areas. By the time they sit back and you have a conversation with them, they also challenge you in terms of what exactly do you do? How is it that you look at things in this direction? And also, how then do you end up looking at the peers that you have? Because again, you have to be able to keep yourself with the right people who will be able to make you grow, and then build their confidence in STEM. So one of the things is that try and be, like myself and the program that you're doing, and together with other partners, is building the space that the STEM space, where we are able to make sure that the younger generation, like now Karatina University girls in the science space, they're able to see there are people who are in this space. They face challenges. They face, like for me, I always love telling my story, is that I got lost in Masai Mara looking for a site that I was expected to do. But at the end of the day, it is something that has made me grow beyond that. So it builds the confidence. And that's what I keep saying, Karatina University girls or women can be able to see those areas and see that it is actually possible to do it. Training and mentorship, where within your community, what are you doing around there? You need to be able to train people. I am having this opportunity to mentor young girls, and even in the surrounding communities, as far as Isiolo, as far as in Mombasa right now, where we use a particular track that goes around, you know, as far as Homa Bay, where I'm able to see these young girls getting exposed to things like are related to science and also the digital skills. And then exposure, you need to be able to expose yourself, allow yourself to be exposed in competitive programs, such as, like now, example, within our institution, we have things like ICT competition. So you have to get into that space, allow yourself to fail, and you learn more. You allow yourself to drop and keep picking yourself up and move on. So how then do we end up doing the training outside our space? Is that we end up getting our hands dirty. So as I mentioned earlier, we moved to Isiolo or Samburu, in Thika, where we have the M-Pesa Foundation, Dagoretti Early Children's School. I've talked about supporting the disabled under a program called a company called Stepwise. So when you look at it, where else do you end up going and getting your hands dirty? You get. So you have to be able to see how the society will influence you around that particular space and grow yourself. So areas that we think we can be able to do. How do we start? From what ages do we see that this is an opportunity? Don't look at a situation where you see a young boy or girl who is about, let's say, especially young girls, who is, you buy her maybe a toy and she's dismantling it and trying to build it again. And you start questioning, oh, I bought this and they're already destroying it. You know, that's already an opportunity that you can see. You can build some skills around there. You can be able to understand, you can be able to start putting in some small skills so that by the time even they are getting into high school and university, when you're talking about science, they didn't see science when they were learning it in high school or in university. They're seeing science from as early as maybe 3-4 years. And now it's what they were doing or what they were building is just a word that you add that is actually the real science that you're doing. So let them expose them, allow the young children to be able to fall out of these things and also make mistakes, yeah? And I like the fact that within the university, Karatina University, is that we have young generation that maybe see that they've made mistakes and they, you know, and they see that they've, can I call it, you've blundered in life, but you say this is the end of it. You know, maybe you failed your exams, you've done this, and you still see, no, it's not a chance for me to be able to do better. For me, I say, take it on, keep failing, and you will keep seeing the opportunities to make you grow. Keep failing, keep dropping, and then that's when you see, because from the failures is when you learn how to grow yourself, you know. And then in summary, what I just wanted to say is that out of all these things, out of my personal experience, out of how I took charge and avoided the stereotypes, is that the stereotypes around can really bring you down to the point where you think about even wanting to quit. How many people have moved away from the science space because you're told this is not your space? Oh, and you know, the worst thing is that the main people who end up bringing you down are the people closest to you. They're the ones who you find, like relatives come and say, oh, you do science, or you're an engineer, or me, I don't think that one is a space for women. And you already can see there's already a small stereotype that has been created there. And even sometimes in the space where, you know, as women, by the time you sit in certain management positions, you find that when you speak out confidently, they say, I know she's coming out too bossy, you know. And it's just that you want your point to come out strongly, but someone says that you're trying to be very bossy. Those are some of the things that we have been exposed. So in summary, what am I trying to say is that it is important to say that, you know, it is important to try and grow yourself. It is important to try and take time to clear out your mind and remove all those things that make, or you may hear as being stereotyped, and understand how then can I do better. Use for me, I always say, use the things that are making you be brought down as the stepping stones to the next point. So it is important to create time for it. You should never, ever say, I don't have time. You know, by the time you're the young people in university, younger generation, by the time you're coming into this real space, you'll find you want someone to support you and they tell you, I don't have time, I don't have time. But for me, I always say, you always create time, like creating time to sit here and be able to learn, and also to see other people, what exactly they're doing. You know, it makes you also understand. And I keep saying, always take one day to keep learning one thing at a time. Do you know, if you spend one day learning one thing at a time, at the end of the year, you've learned 365 new things in that year. You can imagine. And it's just one small thing. So you have to make time. And then you have to make the ordinary become the extraordinary. What do I mean? Right now you're in university, and then you think that you finished and graduated only with that degree that you have. Let me tell you the things that are happening online and the things that people are developing themselves. When someone who has sat at home looking for a job and someone who was sitting at home looking for a job, but they were doing some added things, I would actually, as an employer, look at the person who was doing extra things at their time. Why? Because it means they will go beyond the space that they're in. They'll go beyond, they'll take that extra chance or challenge to challenge themselves. So that's why I keep saying, use social media to your advantage. I mean, these are the areas that you need to expose yourself. So become extraordinary, learn more, take time to do more certifications. I'm sure if you look at the doctors and professors here, they just didn't finish university and said, you know, now with my degree, I'm done with it. No, they took time. Now they took the extra step of doing their masters. They took the extra steps of doing the PhD. So that is what you need to look at. I mean, you can be able to do some certifications and make yourself extraordinary. Take time to give a helping hand. For me, I always say, if you're going to want to be helped, you have to take time to help someone else. Otherwise, don't expect to be helped and you're not helping others. There's no one who, it cannot be a one-way side like a seesaw. You have to be able to balance the seesaw where you're being given and you also give out, because through that, when you're giving out, you end up learning more and you end up challenging the time when you're getting more from wherever it is that you're being mentored from or being coached from. And then make your networks your network. Who are the people you're surrounding with? What advantage do you have around them that can be able to help you? You have lecturers, you have the management, you have teachers, you have heads of departments. Right now, you have people like us who have come to speak. How then will you take that opportunity? And I like what Professor Elizabeth did. She said there was a mentor. She's going to follow up with one of the mentors within the speakers. So she was able to use that networking as a network where she wants to grow herself, and then create a space that you can build a society, building around yourself. Make sure that this science space is grown to the level. Right now, I saw in the space we have women scientists of Kenya, and you see coming in that space, coming into workshops, coming into meetups and greetups, get to know each other, and so that you build that society so that we can grow and people know us within the outside space and not only within a small confined space. And we also bring in the men to support us. I mean, it should not always be that it looks like we are fighting them, but it should also be a helping hand. I can tell you for free, the person who has even been able to mentor me to even the level that I am right now is actually a man. So I give credit there because you cannot go without them. So this is an opportunity that you have to create and build a society when we're creating these women in science. And one last thing is that I always say is that you have to stay hungry. It's like now the way maybe it's lunchtime and you're hungry. It means that you'll go and look for food to eat. So it's the same way that when you're always hungry for information, it will keep you at that point that you have to keep learning. You have to keep yourself in line with whatever is surrounding you, and take time to grow and take time to understand. Spend at least even 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 5 to 10 minutes, or even 30 minutes in a day to study something new. Put off your phone or your phone in airplane mode and learn something new. Not necessarily even what exactly is related to that you're doing, but even try to see what globally the scientists are doing so that they can also build themselves. So one last thing I'm going to say is that the road to success comes through hard work and determination and sacrifice, and also working smart. You cannot be able to be in this space and you're not working smart. You have to keep up. Like my son right now, I'm even trying to keep up with the program that they're building, things like Roblox and all this. So I have to also learn it. So, but that means I have to take that opportunity to work harder and understand and determine and perseverance and also patience. Actually, one of the things that I was going to mention as a parting shot is that let's not look for shortcuts in life. Let's be able to grow ourselves. Let's be able to appreciate the process as you grow. Don't look for the quick wins that are there. look for the opportunities that you're going to grow yourself and to learn yourself, and appreciate that every step has a stepping stone and every step has an obstacle. And how do you end up dealing with the obstacle? Is that you get into it, get your hands dirty, deal with the obstacle, and that is what will make you learn and move into this space. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for that opportunity. And yeah, and God bless you. And I hope I just be able to interact with you more in this forum and also in other spaces. Thank you, and back to you, Professor Juliet.
Thank you very much, Engineer Maureen Mwaneke, for what you have given us. We have looked at her journey. We have listened to what she has said. And I said that today, if we knew that we'll have such experience and such knowledge, we would have planned to have the whole day. But you see, successful women are also busy, but we are running quite a lot. For the interest of time, I think we will ask Engineer Maureen Mwaneke 2 questions, brief ones. Then if there are others that can wait until Q&A, we'll do that. 2, welcome. 2 questions or comments. Hello, I think like people understood everything you said. I don't know whether there's one they have asked you at the chat. Yeah, they're okay. So I think, thank you very much, Dr. Engineer Mwaneke. Switch on your cameras so that we can make sure that we clap for her. We will want her to come again because it looks like even as some of us need mentorship, and you can see mentors are just here. And you can see the type of people Karatina University wants to work with. You will mentor us, mentor students, mentor staff, mentor everyone. Thank you very much, Engineer, for coming. I hope you're going to be with us so that we can ask you more questions at Q&A. I return.
Prof.
Yes.
Prof.
Yes, Professor Wanjau.
Engineer Maureen is very popular with our computer science girls, and they are demanding she comes to Karatina University. That's a message they send me to her.
Thank you.
So,
that is good. I knew that. So she will come again, then
that is what they have sent me to tell her.
Engineer Maureen, you have heard. We want you to come back again. You can see already mentoring, and that's why I'm saying you'll mentor students, mentor staff, and then even show some of us how we can give back to the society. Thank you very much. We've clapped for her again. In communication, we are saying thank you for coming. I'll return this session to Dr. Kiambati to tell us what else to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Juliet Macharia. Thank you so much, Engineer Maureen Mwaneke, for your very, very wonderful presentation. We have totally enjoyed it. Even our students can attest that they're really looking forward to your next presentation. We are hoping to organize another event, and we really look forward to having you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate Professor Macharia also for moderating the session for us in an effective way. Thank you so much. At this point, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Flora Runji, to invite our next speaker and take us through the session.
Thank you, Dr. Kiambati. I can see the clock is telling me it's exactly 1 p.m. And I want to believe that members will be patient and tarry a little bit so that we give our next presenter an opportunity to share with us. Allow me to call the class to attendance, just a nice breakup. Probably I've never had the opportunity to ask my prof a question. So please kindly give us your register that you are still with us by typing on the chat the first element in the periodic table. Kindly register your attendance in the chat. Professor Kenneth, I'm waiting for that. The first element in the periodic table. Hello, good afternoon. Am I speaking? Yeah, thank you, Professor Lonkuluka. I've seen Professor has told me it's hydrogen. Thank you, Kellen. Thank you, Wilfred. Still have not seen some of us. Kindly just type the first element in the periodic table. Okay, thank you for those responses, and I can see we are there. And that's good. People are there. I have had the opportunity to hear from even Dr. Githaiga. I can see people are there. So next, kindly, if you can get me, just give me the first prime number. We have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the negatives. Just type the first prime number in maths. With that, I am sure that, hey, I thank you. I can see Dr. Irene, the first prime number, the first prime number, the first prime number. Wow. First prime number. Professor Kenneth, I have seen you. Well. Thank you, members. Allow me to now give you what there is. The first element in the periodic table is hydrogen, and the first prime number is 2. Congratulations, Winfred Morwa. So forgive me, my camera has really misbehaved. It has refused. So my name is Dr. Flora Runji. I'm a lecturer at Karatina University, head of the Department Mathematics, Statistics, and Actuarial Science. And I'm humbled to be the one to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Sonia Zilani Musyoka. Briefly, I go through a biography. Dr. Sonia Zilani is a lecturer, head of Department of Hydrology and Aquatic Sciences in Seku, that is Southeastern Kenya University. She has a PhD in Natural Resources and Life Sciences, and she did a graduate degree in Fisheries and Aquatic. She has a postgraduate. She has so many short courses, postgraduate courses. I was trying to count them, and I have seen there are about 11. She has a postdoctoral training in Netherlands. She has a research and action course on politics and